Here's a scroll saw project, easy enough for a beginner, but still fun for someone with advanced skills to make. I'll show you how to make this project step by step in only 5 minutes. It's going to be a fun little project. It's very easy. Stick figures, man and woman, and their dog. I suppose it could be a cat, but I don't think so. Anyway, there's just a few inside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inside cuts, none of them all that complicated, and then the one long outside cut. This is 1/2 inch poplar, and my rule of thumb for 1/2 inch material is a number 7 blade. Poplar's relatively soft for hardwood, so that should work fine. So I'll clean it up and get started. None of these cuts are difficult. They're all fairly large, so this would be a good project for someone new to scroll sawing. There are some 90-degree corners, but cutting these is a skill you need to master if you want to make scroll saw projects, and this will be a good place to learn. If the number 7 blade was too aggressive, I could slow down the speed or switch to a smaller blade, but the number 7 is right for this project as is. When you get to a 90-degree turn, cut all the way to the intersection, back off the pressure on the blade very slightly, pivot the workpiece, then start cutting in the new direction. There are other sharp points in this project with angles other than 90 degrees, but the same technique applies. Until you get expert at these cuts, you can always remove the waste piece, then go back and clean up the cut with the blade, coming in from both directions to get the sharp point you want. For this pattern, or any pattern for that matter, it usually doesn't matter what order you use to make the interior cuts. Just move from one pilot hole to the next, make the interior cut, remove the waste, then move on to the next cut. I do, however, recommend making all the interior cuts before making the outside cut. This piece will be stronger than many scroll saw projects, but on projects with a lot of interior cuts, they can become delicate by the end. The outside provides strength, and once you make the outside cut, there may not be a lot to grip while making any remaining cuts. I believe anyone experienced in the scroll saw will agree with me on this advice. I started at one end of the pattern and worked my way across the inside cuts, saving the circles for the inside of the heads for last. I thought about drilling these out with Forstner bits, but I think only the dog's head was the size for which I had a bit. And even if I had the right size drill bits, I could probably make the cuts as fast on the scroll saw as the time it would take to change the drill bit every time. As I was making all these interior cuts, you should have noticed a couple of great features of the biggest scroll saw. One is that the arm blade holds in the upper position while you're threading the blade through the pilot hole. The second is that you have the blade in place. It only takes a twist of the thumb screw to tighten the blades. The bottom chuck works the same way as the top. Some scroll saws require tools for blade changes. This Pecos scroll saw does not. Once all the inside cuts were done, it was time to make the long exterior cut. There were 2 places in this cut that provided a little extra detail: the man's hand petting the dog and the man and woman holding hands. I used scroll saw tape to attach the pattern to the wood. It's my favorite method of securing patterns to wood because it's easy to apply. It holds securely while cutting, yet it peels off easily, leaving no residue when you're done. I'll leave a link to my source in the description, and you'll see it linked on the screen to my video on 9 ways to attach patterns to wood. The base is just a rectangle with rounded corners. I'll do a small roundover on the top at the router table, then glue the figures to the base. I used to spray polyurethane finish on the oak version of this, but I'm going to leave the poplar ones unfinished. That way, whoever buys them will have the option of painting them. Since I'm not going to paint the poplar figures, gluing these to the base will be the last step. For most projects, I use Titebond white glue. It's water-soluble and dries clear. I buy it in gallon bottles, then use the big bottle to refill smaller ones like this one that originally held Elmer's glue. It has a small spout, making it very handy for applying glue to small parts. I just squeeze out some glue onto the bottom of the figures, then use my finger to spread it around. I couldn't figure out a way to clamp these, so I'm just going to let gravity do the work. Here's the completed project. I'll set it aside until the glue dries. As I mentioned earlier, this would be a good project for a beginner, but it was still fun for someone with as much experience as I have. Here are the two versions of the stick figure couple and dog, one in oak with a polyurethane finish and one in unfinished poplar. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, I would appreciate and will respond to any comments.